I thought I understood what betrayal felt like, until the day my wife, Vera, walked into our divorce hearing with him sitting right behind her. Marcus, the man who had been unraveling my marriage for 8 months without me ever knowing his name. But here's the strange thing about revenge. Sometimes it doesn't come from bitterness or planning. Sometimes it finds you, uninvited, born from pain and clarity, and hands you a choice you didn't even know you were looking for. It started 3 weeks before the court date. I was sitting in my lawyer's office, going over the final documents, when she said something that made my blood run cold. Vera had listed Marcus Holloway as a character witness. A character witness. The man who had been sleeping with my wife was about to sit in a courtroom and vouch for her goodness. I remember laughing, not because it was funny, but because the audacity of it all cracked something inside me. This woman had spent our entire marriage making me feel small, like I wasn't enough. I worked too much, didn't understand her, couldn't reach her. And now she was dragging her affair partner into our divorce like a trophy to be polished, and paraded in front of a judge. Patricia, my lawyer, noticed the look on my face, asked if I was okay. I wasn't. I hadn't been okay since the day I found the messages on Vera's phone 6 months earlier. Messages that began innocently enough, and then slowly became everything I wasn't. Playful, passionate, romantic, daring, everything she said she needed but never asked for. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept seeing Marcus in court, standing there lying under oath about Vera's integrity, and it made something in me stir. If he was going to show up in that room, if he was going to tell stories in her defense, then maybe his wife deserved to know what kind of man he really was. Not out of spite, but because she had a right to choose what came next for her. With her eyes wide open, finding Alina Holloway wasn't difficult. A little social media sleuthing led me to her profile. Kindergarten teacher, married to Marcus. For 12 years, mother to 2 daughters. Her page was full of smiling family portraits, holiday crafts, school field trips, and home-cooked dinners. The kind of life Vera and I used to have before she decided it wasn't enough. I stared at those photos for hours. Alina had no idea. While she was teaching children and planning birthday parties, her husband was texting mine about hotel rooms and secret weekends. She deserved the truth. I sent her a message. I think we need to talk about our spouses. No drama, no accusation. Just an invitation to clarity. She called me within an hour. Her voice was unsteady, brittle round the edges. She said hello like it hurt, and I realized she already knew, somewhere deep down. She just hadn't found the proof yet. We met in a quiet cafe downtown. Alina was smaller than I expected, with soft, tired eyes that looked like they'd weathered too many sleepless nights. She brought screenshots, messages from Marcus' iPad that matched the ones I'd seen on Vera's phone. We sat for 3 hours, quietly assembling the puzzle that had shattered both our lives. The same hotel names, the same dates, the same lies she told me about the lingerie receipt, expensive and unfamiliar. I told her about credit card charges from places I'd never set foot in. But what broke me was when she asked, "Do you think they're in love?" She wasn't angry. She was still trying to save the wreckage, even as it burned. Still hoping that maybe this was a mistake, not the destruction of everything they'd built. And that's when I realized something. We weren't chasing revenge. We were chasing truth, because only truth could give us back our footing. I told her about the court date, about Marcus being called to testify about Vera's character. And Alina, quiet and clear-eyed, made a choice right then that changed everything. She hired Patricia's associate for her own case, filed her divorce papers that same week, and she requested to be called as a witness in mine. The morning of the hearing, I arrived early. Vera was already there, polished, poised, every detail of her appearance carefully chosen to look professional yet sympathetic, like this was a job interview instead of the end of a marriage. Then Marcus walked in, tall, smooth, confident, the kind of man who'd never had to earn anything through struggle. He nodded at Vera, took his seat behind her, calm as a king, until Alina entered. I watched his face drain of all color. I saw him lean forward, whisper something frantic to Vera. I watched Vera turn and spot the woman whose life she had helped obliterate now, sitting just 3 rows behind her, Alina didn't look at either of them. She walked with grace, sat down, opened her purse, and waited. The hearing started as expected. Division of assets, custody agreements, all the mechanical parts of ending a life together. Then Vera's lawyer called Marcus to the stand. He walked up like a man headed toward a noose. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled as he raised them to swear an oath. He spoke about Vera's warmth, her brilliance, her commitment to family, and here came the twist, her integrity. That's when Patricia stood. "Mr. Holloway," she said, "how long have you been involved in an extramarital affair with Mrs. Vera Thompson?" The room stilled. You could have heard a pin drop. Marcus glanced at Vera, then at Alina, then at the judge. He had options. He could lie. He could stall. But he knew what Alina had in her hands. 8 months, he whispered. Patricia nodded. No further questions. Then she called Alina to the stand. Alina walked up slowly, shoulders steady with the weight of all she'd lost. Her voice was calm as she recounted the messages, the hotels, the lies. She told the court how she found out about her husband's affair through a stranger's message. She spoke of her daughters, and the night she had to explain to them why Daddy wouldn't be coming home anymore. And then she looked directly at Vera. "I don't hate you," she said. "I feel sorry for you. Because someone who can destroy two families for their own happiness, they'll never understand what real love actually means." The judge ruled in my favor, full division of assets, primary custody, the house. But that wasn't the real win. The real victory was watching Vera finally grasp what consequences look like. Watching her sit in that courtroom, surrounded by the wreckage she created, and realize that the truth, eventually, always finds its way to the surface. Marcus and Alina divorced 3 months later. She got the house, full custody, and from what I hear, is thriving, still teaching, still raising her daughters, still standing. Vera and Marcus tried to make it work. They moved in together, tried to build something real from the ruins of what they stole. But here's the thing about relationships born from betrayal. They don't survive the truth. The guilt corrodes everything. They broke up 6 months later. Maybe Marcus couldn't bear what he'd done to his kids, or maybe Vera couldn't love a man who proved how easily he could lie to the person he once claimed to love. I don't know. And maybe I was wrong to involve Alina. Maybe that was revenge dressed up in the clothes of justice. But what I do know is this: the truth came out, and everyone in that courtroom got to make decisions based on the whole story, not the version Vera and Marcus curated. Sometimes I wonder if Vera ever thinks about that day, the moment she turned and saw Marcus' wife walking toward the witness stand. If she ever replays it in her head, wondering how things might have turned out if she'd just told the truth. But I know better than to hope. Some people don't learn from mistakes. They just evolve into new ones. If this story hit something in you, subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments, especially if you think I did the right thing by bringing Alina in. Share this story with someone who might need to hear it. Because sometimes when you're standing in the dark, the truth is the only light left.